Hey, what's up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and you know the hero is probably broken when in the old chat, just before the game starts, the enemy Hoodwink is complaining that you're abusing IO every game. This Hoodwink is referring to Seb's offlane IO, which we're going to be covering here today. I'd also like to point out two more things before we get into the analysis. Number one, yesterday, after watching this game, I decided to try it on my own, and I absolutely stomped with almost no IO experience. And on top of that, Seb in his last 26 matches has a 65.4% win rate on IO. Just yesterday, it was 30 matches and a 70% win rate. As you can see, this hero as an offlane is busted, and let's talk about why. By the way, guys, if you want to become absolutely broken, well, what you need to do is sign up to the GameLeap website down below right now. The reason why you should do that is because every single day we post a new video there. Content that you simply just will never get on YouTube, we post every single day to the website. It's really top tier stuff. I'm very proud of what I make over there. We also have other creators, many of my great friends who are top tier Dota players, creating guides about different heroes, different roles, different items, skill builds, talent builds, everything you need to know to get to the next rank. So if you feel a little bit lost, you're a little bit stuck, click the link down below. I'll see you guys there. And now let's get into the video. All right, so first things first, you really want to optimize your laning combo when you pick IO as an offlaner. When I played it in my game, there was 3 heroes I asked for, and I recommend you ask for them as well. Number 1 is Tusk. Tag Team plus Overcharge is simply broken. You'll see that in this replay. I like Spearbreaker a ton. Bash plus Overcharge. If you don't know what Overcharge is, it's IO's third ability. Gives attack speed, spell amplification, and regen. The big one is definitely attack speed in the early game. 8 seconds of 50 attack speed is insane. 50 attack speed is literally ridiculous. And so with Tag Team, that goes to both you and the Tusk, by the way, when you're tethered. So it's 100 total bonus attack speed for your lane. So Spearbreaker is great for Bash, Tusk for Tag Team, Marcy with her E. If you do lane with a Marcy, I definitely recommend you ask her to take Sidekick at level 2. Even level 1, it's okay, but it's best at level 2 because that is when IO will have Overcharge as well. Now in terms of starting items, I recommend you copy exactly what Seb goes here, which is 3 Tangos, a Quelling Blade, 2 Branches, and Gauntlets. IO does not have very good base damage, so if you go more of a regen base build that you might think you might want to go, the problem is you will not get very many last hits. So with the Quelling Blade and these items, you hit for 62 against creeps, and that's pretty freaking good. Now, the laning stage is pretty simple. Early on into the lane, you don't really go that hard. The regen you provide at this time is not great. Your hero without Overcharge is frankly mildly underwhelming, and so your level 1 timing, it's fine, you're not weak, but the main thing you're doing is denying and CSing with your teammate. Keep in mind you also don't have a range creep secure, so it's imperative that during the laning stage you ask your 4 to either hit it with you or cast a nuke. Now Tusk and Spearbreaker both don't really have nukes early on, assuming you take Tag Team or Bash, and as a result you just have to hit it when the range creep is half HP. And now for the next 10 seconds of this clip, you're gonna see why this combo is ridiculous. Also, I just want to quickly mention that throughout the replay you might not see Tether, it's just a bug. Generally, he's always going to be tethered and you should be too. But in this lane here, you notice, first things first, this is the perfect clip, okay? Him and his Tusk go for the range creep together. Perfect, right? Literally perfect. Goes in, hits the range creep, same time, secures it. You don't need the CS, just get the XP, that's the key. Now, level 2 IO. This is the timing. It's really that simple. Watch Terrorblade. Now keep in mind, this is a 10 armor hero. 10. You can imagine what you're about to see against a low armor hero. How drastic it would be in that case. But they click Overcharge. They click Tag Team. That's a meta Terrorblade. And it's not even close. I mean, it was a little close, but it wasn't that close. Considering it's a meta TB with a Chen Penitence, you just lose the man fight. And yeah, it's even worse. If the enemy is a Wraith King or a Sven, they just get annihilated. Now, the next thing to note is that your Overcharge gives a lot of regen. It's only 40 mana, so you'll see there's also times during the laning stage where he's just gonna casually pop it just for regen. For instance, right here, Tusk had just died, he's TPing back in, so there's a bit of a downtime where nothing's really going to happen. And so yeah, just pop your Overcharge, get that HP regen, get it ticking. On top of that, the first item you're going to be rushing is Headdress. Very simple reason. it's basically infinite regen for your teammate. It's a lot for you as well, right? Gives you 2.5 HP regen, but the reason why it's so busted is not only does it give, right, your teammate also 2 HP regen, it also gives you that 2.5 HP regen, which then naturally gives it back to the Tusk as well. So it's essentially like the best regen item in the early game for healing your teammate. Obviously, it's good for yourself as well, but particularly for your teammate, which is why having a frontline 4 is so nice. Because you can imagine, you know, IO plus like Skywrath Mage could still be a good lane, but the thing is, you don't really get to abuse the infinite regen that Headdress essentially provides. Now, moving ahead, the laning stage is honestly simple at this point. Basically, every single time you have tag team up, you can look for a kill. Obviously, the main advantage you have in this specific lane is tag team level 2. Reason why is tag team more than doubles. It doesn't even double, it more than doubles at level 2. So this is a huge timing. Once you hit this, you should be going as aggressive as humanly possible, because once again, even in this clip here, with the massive spike that is level 2 Metamorphosis for Terrorblade, it doesn't even matter. And honestly, they even messed up the execution here. The tag team was wildly late. They didn't really catch the Terrorblade off guard. This was kind of just like a mediocre kill attempt. It wasn't quick, and the tag team was late, as I just said, and yet it still ends up working out. Metamorphosis was forced again, and they get the kill. Now keep in mind the skill build, basically the rest of the skill build is going to be maxing out spirits. And you might be like, oh really? Because I'm with a Tusk. Shouldn't I max out Overcharge? No, because if you do that, you're going to have no good way to farm as the game progresses, which is a key, and we'll get into that later. All right, last clip in the early game, I promise. I just love watching this. Like, it's just so satisfying to watch some Terrorblade just die from full HP. It's like, he's like, yeah, maybe I can man up. Ah, that was really close. It's just so sad, man. It's so busted. Like, and the thing is, like, they honestly didn't even play the lane as well as they could have. Like, watching the replay through, they honestly made like a decent amount of just mistakes in terms of their synergy. But even then, it still didn't matter. Like, and the same thing's gonna happen in your pubs. As long as you have like relative synergy, you're still just gonna pwn. Next, let's talk about spirits, just so you guys understand how it works. Basically, you get these balls that fly around you. You can make them go closer to you or further away. They do damage every time they spin past a creep, so when you're pushing in the wave, it's very important to keep them close to you so that they spin and hit the creeps as much as possible. It's actually one of the best farming abilities in the game, actually. And part of the reason for that is not only the fact that when it spins around, it does 20 damage per tick at level 3, but also when it bursts, all of them do the damage to the creeps. Right, so it's actually a ridiculously good farming ability. So the one thing I do want to mention as a downside to IO Core that I think is important to note is that the hero doesn't naturally 1v1 people very well with the build that we're going to be going here. The build is Soul Ring into Holy Locket. Keep in mind you only want to buy the Soul Ring after the Headdress at earliest. I think he even bought it after the full Holy Locket, but you absolutely need Soul Ring to sustain your mana. Now, the biggest downside of IO is the fact that the hero doesn't naturally man up well in the 1v1. So you'll see, even in this clip here, the Grimstroke walks up to him. You can't kill the Grimstroke alone. For instance, if you're a Mars or a Slaughter, you could kill this guy no problem, right? He's just dead meat. However, what IO is going to look to do is provide a +1 kill threat and flash farm. His main reason for being in this exact position he's currently in was to farm a stack. IO is one of the best stack takers in the game. I don't know if you guys knew this, but like even mid-IO has been a thing, and largely it revolved around making triple stacks for yourself and just becoming wildly overfarmed. And the same thing applies with the current IO offlane that we're watching here. You want to play for stacks. Even if you don't have stacks, you can drag this camp together, use your spirits to farm them at the same time. You could do that easily on Dire if you're in that position. You could farm that and that. You can farm this camp and this camp. You want to drag the camps together and flash farm once the laning stage ends. And briefly, just so you guys can visualize it, I want to show you the value in spirits. So when it's ending, make sure you bring the balls close to yourself. He currently does have them, it's just a visual bug. But you'll notice when they pop, they're going to explode and kill the creeps. Now, unfortunately, the creeps are basically already dead, but they do a huge amount of burst damage. It's like a third of most creeps' HP. And now once again, you can see flash farming, right? He's taking camps, he's not roaming, he's not ganking. You want to play for net worth, right? Hopefully, if you've won your lane, which you honestly should, if you don't, that's your first problem. But assuming you won your lane, you want to stay in your lane and just farm everything in the area. And the great thing about IO as well as an offlaner is that the hero, right? The hero can play like Spectre, it can play like Dawnbreaker. It doesn't have to be at the fight, right? It can farm as much as it wants, and then if a fight breaks out like he thought was going to happen here, you can just relocate in. This clip, nothing really major ends up even happening, but it doesn't matter, right? Relocate is not a very long cooldown. It's just not. It's 100 seconds. That's kind of nothing in the early game. And so yeah, you can just show up to every single skirmish, like literally every single skirmish, which is gonna get you a ton of XP, right? A ton of gold, and then right after the fight ends, you're immediately back to farming. It's kind of insane, right? Like, you have to think about how good this is in terms of your ability to snowball. Any hero that can do this has a natural advantage. In fact, most heroes that have the capability to split push this willingly often have drawbacks. For instance, Spectre doesn't farm that fast, Nature's Prophet doesn't man up that well, just in general the hero needs a ton of net worth to have impact. Io, honestly, doesn't lack too much. And now let's get into the biggest part about why this hero is busted. And you might be like, oh, what? We just watched a bunch of clips, the hero looked insane. The mid game, guys, when you hit a 14-minute mech, I mean, he hit it earlier than this, by the way, because he's got 1,000 gold saved up. But when you hit this timing, right? By the way, he has a casual Bassi. But when you hit this timing of Holy Lock and mech early into the game, this is when the items are truly busted, because any heal item, the earlier you get it, the more valuable it is, because people lack the burst damage to get through it, right? The earlier the game, the less damage people have, the more valuable heals are. So you'll see in this clip here, he jumps in with the Monkey King, gets gone on, but he's really tanky, because you're a 1500 HP hero. Keep in mind you're a strength hero, so you naturally have pretty good strength gain, right? 3 strength gain is quite high. He has a HP regen neutral item, and then just a bunch of tank items, right? Besides Bassi and Quelling Blade, just a bunch of tank items. And so he easily heals through this. His Monkey King is full HP throughout this entire fight, and it's just a stomp. Like, literally, he's also giving his Monkey King 80 attack speed. You can imagine why that's pretty dang good for a Monkey King to have 80 bonus attack speed. And this is kind of why Io is just an insane hero. It's why the hero has picked a lot of TI, and to be fair, the hero didn't even have that high of a win rate at TI. And so, like, you know, you might be like, oh, it's not that good. The thing is, I honestly think this hero is just it's just better as a core. It's very level dependent. Like, it's very, very level dependent. And therefore what would happen a lot of the time is if you pick it as a support, you would just sap all of like one of your core's levels, which wouldn't feel that good. It would make them like much less stat heavy than they should be because they're just underleveled. Their abilities would just not be that good. But instead now your supports, you know, they don't have to sap a lot of levels. You're going to be overleveled, which is a good thing. And then you just get to buff up one of your cores. Like, it's generally very obvious which one you should buff up. It's just anyone that right clicks. You also provide Spell Amp though, right? Overcharge is 16% Spell Amp. It's not nearly as significant as 110 attack speed, but you can see this Monkey King is playing like, you know, well, a Monkey King. And the thing is, it just doesn't matter. Like, it does not matter. He's just full HP the entire time. He tanked a Hoodwink ulti, like a bunch of spells from Marcy, I think a Reflection, a TB Illusion, and he's practically full HP. And that's why this hero is insane. However, what was happening at TI was it was getting constantly counterpicked, and the Io wouldn't be that farmed, so half the time Io would just go in and die. Like, he couldn't actually provide tether for a substantial amount of time. Overcharge would be practically wasted a lot of the time because it would just die. And so that's what I noticed, and that's why I think this is just like genuinely busted. Like, I know a lot of people would be like, Speed, you say everything's broken, blah, 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 blah. Like, no. Okay, a lot of the titles might say it. It's called clickbait, all right? Surely you've heard of it. It's on YouTube everywhere, okay? There's a big difference. This is, I actually think it's insanely busted. All right, next let's talk about the skill build. I just want to talk about the general skill build. So at level 1, you take Tether. At level 2, Overcharge. We kind of covered that. Then you max out Spirits. You take Relocate at 6. By the way, you can use Relocate to literally just go back to base and heal as well. Just want to put that out there. I did it in the game I played. It felt totally fine. If you're going to be completely out of mana, which this hero easily can be, it has literally 4 spells that cost a lot of mana. Spirits costs 150 mana on a low cooldown. So you're going to run out of mana. Don't be afraid to relocate back to base. But moving ahead, max out Spirits. Then he puts 3 points in Tether and then goes back for Overcharge. I don't really know exactly why. I think this is just like, I think it was probably just in the moment. It was mid-team fight. He probably leveled up and skilled Overcharge. And the reason why is when you're tethered to someone, if you level up, you actually have to untether to skill it for some stupid reason. That definitely needs to be changed in my opinion. But nonetheless, that's why overall he was maxing Tether, leaves it at 3 points, then goes back in Overcharge. Essentially, just put more points into Tether at first, then go back in Overcharge. this is going to make your heals really good, because how Tether works is it gives more movement speed per level, it slows more per level, right? If someone's in the tether, they're actually slowed. A lot of people don't know that. And the amount of regen you provide for whatever you just give to them is also amped, so it scales incredibly well. So does Overcharge though, so honestly, that's why you just need a lot of levels. Also, by the way, do not skill relocate at 12. I wasn't sure about this, but Seb didn't do it either. The cast time barely goes down, the cooldown's by 10 seconds, which seems okay. It is something. It's not terrible, but your other spells are just so important to be able to spam and have skilled up. They, you revolve your build not really around relocate, you revolve it around your other spells, so that's generally why you want to take it. And only because I haven't really even emphasized it very much in this video, we're going to end the video here. Actually, before I say this, I just want to say buy drums after Holy Lock and Mech. Buy drums and buy your shard. Your shard, if you don't know what it does, basically, if anyone touches Tether, they get stunned for 1.75 seconds, basically 2 seconds. It deals 150 damage, so essentially if you get gun on, you just stun them. No one knows it's coming, so like basically you just constantly accidentally stun people. It's extremely useful. It also increases the movement speed by 8%, which is actually insane. 8% movement speed is ridiculous. Like, that is a huge number. It might not seem like it, but especially if you combine that with drums and you pop these at the same time, you were giving someone 21% movement speed, guys. That is a ridiculous number. Like, by the way, you also grant them 20 movement speed just with the item, so it's even more than that. You're giving them even more than 21%. It's probably more like 24 or 25. Yeah, I'll stop, jerking IO off. But basically, you'll see in this clip here, as he's going to tether the Tusk, Tusk looks extremely dead. It even generally is a bad idea to tether in this deep for someone this isolated. Ends up working out here. But look at the heals. Pops his mech, okay? Gives Tusk like 500 HP, and then you pop Holy Lock it. Gives him another half of his health. So basically, he full healed Tusk at the end of the day. He also drumsed him, giving him movement speed. Also overcharged him, so he's giving Tusk like 30-something regen. I think it's more because Tether gives more than what you're actually like doing, right? So if you pop 300 worth of heal, it gives more because of how Tether works when it's maxed out. So Tusk's regen, it says it's 29.3. I think it's actually higher, but either way, it's a stupid amount of heal, and Tusk nearly lives through it. And even though Tusk dies, it buys so much time that Monkey King is able to get off a God ulti into, a nice Boundless, and into a nice Glimpse, and ends up being a really convincing fight. So it just, I'm going to stop harping on it. That's going to be all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to be spamming this in my games. I really do believe that it's extremely strong. Also, keep in mind in terms of talents, I didn't fully cover them, but at level 10, just skip it, don't take it. Even at level 15, don't take it. Just go straight to your 15 talent, which should generally be the Spirit's max range. After that, at level 20, honestly, I actually think Relocate cooldown is a little bit underrated, especially considering you're not buying Ag. Spirit's hero damage is not that insane. So I kind of like the Relocate cooldown, especially if you plan on split pushing. It's really good for just kind of messing around and casually taking a tier 3. So that's kind of insane. And then finally, at level 25, you want to take, more often than not, attack tethered allies target. And when you're approaching level 25, you want to scale into at least one right-click item. Generally, I think Satanic is the best, and I'll talk about why. It's another stupid timing. It's only 5,000 gold. It gives you 70 damage, which is really high because you're a strength hero. And then anytime you heal, you also provide that heal back to your teammate. The lifesteal you get from Satanic goes to your teammate, right? Because that's how IO works. If he heals, they heal. So you get Unholy Rage on someone with no Satanic. And when you're level 25, you attack what they attack. So if you have a sniper attacking someone, every time sniper hits them, you hit them. And you get the Satanic lifesteal, the active and the passive. So it's double, right? Because then also you can attack. And by the way, you overcharge them, which means you attack faster and they attack faster, which means you also attack faster again, because you're 25 talent. You get the point. Get a Satanic late game, get an MKB late game or a Daedalus, and like, you just become another core. It's stupid. These games don't even go that long most of the time. Like, I looked at his matches, they're usually pretty short, because like, you just stomp the early game and mid game with these items, but then if it does go late, you're fine. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.